Hey guys, good afternoon. Rick Baker here. Listen, I went on a little adventure last Thursday. Me and Jenn and Genesis hopped in my mama's Toyota RAV4 and we drove about 6 hours north of Tyler to a location called Jay, Oklahoma. Now there's not much to Jay, but I've got a good friend that lives up here, and I wanted you to meet him in just a minute. I just kind of wanted to give you a kind of a recap of what we did. Once we got up here, he had actually kind of surprised us with a little trip. He knows I wanted to show Jen as much of the U.S. as I possibly can while we're here. So he had arranged for us to just leave my mama's car here in his garage and then hopped in his pickup and off we went to Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Not too terribly far from here, maybe a couple hours, I guess. We drove to get there. It was cool. It was maybe 12 Celsius. I don't know what that is, maybe 57, 58 Fahrenheit. And misty and just, I'm so glad she was going to get to feel some cool weather, because I honestly thought it would just be hotter than Hades when we got back to Texas. But nice surprise. It was cool. She got to wear her coat and her little toboggan, and I was pretty excited about that. We don't get a lot of cold weather in the Philippines, so it's a big deal for us. So we stayed in the New Orleans hotel in Eureka Springs, and Eureka Springs is kind of it's a little enclave up. It's kind of built on the side of a mountain or on the side of a hill overlooking a valley, and it's just really, really pretty. Old historic town, lots of artsy, craftsy, type of stuff. So we stayed in the New Orleans hotel that night, and went and got some dinner in a place called the Rogue. And then next day we got up and went and got some breakfast kind of in the old historic town center, and did a little walking around, a little souvenir shopping. From there we went on to Branson, Missouri. Now I've been through Missouri on my way to different places, but I've never actually stopped or been to Branson. So I was pretty excited about that. So Branson wasn't that far from Eureka Springs, and Luke had arranged for us to have well, honestly, it was like a little house, condo, if you will, 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo at Holiday Hills, which is a Holiday Inn Resort community in Branson. Really nice, very comfortable. While we were there, we did, we got a few things in. Went to a place called the Farmhouse for dinner that night. Had an incredible chicken fried steak, mashed potatoes, stuff I don't get over in the Philippines. And some good sweet tea, just like, we make in Texas. And then we went home, kind of called it a night. Genesis went and played a little basketball. They have a little half court there near the condo. So he went and threw the ball around a little bit, and then so from there, the next morning we got up and we headed to Silver Dollar City, and wow, really enjoyed that. I wanted to take Jen to Disney. I've been wanting to take her there for years, and here we are in the United States, and I just really this is just my opinion. If you don't agree with it, that's okay. We can agree to disagree, no big deal. But I hear so much stuff that Disney's doing that I just don't agree with personally, and it just doesn't seem like the time to take her there right now. I've taken her to Disney Hong Kong, but there is nothing quite like Disney Orlando, and I know that, and I want to eventually get her there. We may do Universal Studios if we can, but I want Disney. If you're listening to me, not that I have any influence. Get off all the, stuff that you're doing, and let's get back to just entertaining children and families and supporting that, and don't worry about the rest of it. I think that's what you're there for. I think you're there to let people kind of, experience some things that they never otherwise would experience. So that's it for that. I'm not going to get on that soapbox. Anyway, we did Silver Dollar City, which was just super family oriented, incredible amusement park. We just had a really good time there, and Did some roller coasters. I'm not a big roller coaster guy, but you know what? I did them because Genesis is now at an age where he's not scared to death of them, and so by gosh, we got out there and did some roller coasters. And we had some good food that you can get there at the amusement park, and we did that till 6 or so at night, and headed back into town, and stopped at the farmhouse again for some dinner, and headed on back to Holiday Hills. Went ahead and grabbed us some stuff at the market so we could make breakfast this morning, because we knew we needed to get an early start, and we did just that. Jen kind of whipped us up a good breakfast, and then we headed off to the Copperhead Mountain Coaster. And let me tell you, that was cool. It's a single car coaster, and I bought tickets for each of us. We all had our own little cars, and that sucker goes about maybe 4,000 feet long, and gets up to speeds maybe around 30 miles per hour. But the cool thing is you have control over it. You can slow it down. You can let it speed up, go as fast as it can, whatever. It just goes down the mountain, and then it cables you back up to the top. So really enjoyed that. That's the last thing we did before we headed back to Jay, Oklahoma. And we are at Jay now. That's that beautiful backdrop you see behind me. And we'll be getting in the car here pretty soon and headed to, we're going to try to hit Hays, Kansas tonight if I can. I've been struggling a little bit with my back on long car rides. I hadn't had back issues since I had back surgery back in 2001. Had some screws and rods and bone graft and cadaver inserts and put in my lower back, and hadn't had any issues since. But here lately, if I sit in the car longer than a couple hours, man, I start getting these pains going down my leg, and it's just made me be more cognizant of how long I'm going to be in a car. And so we're going to kind of break up our trip to Colorado Springs. That's where we're headed next. My brother and his family live in Colorado Springs, so they never met Jen or Genesis, so we're excited to get there. May even see a little snow. I don't know. We'll see. If I don't see it in Colorado Springs, we'll hop up on Pikes Peak and go look at it up there. So anyway, gonna kind of break that 13-hour drive up, stay the night in Hays, Kansas, and then head on up to Colorado Springs. So that's the next plan. But I want you to meet somebody real quick. This is, I don't take the term best friend very lightly. It's something that I take very seriously, and I just lost a best friend a couple of months ago. I had to fly to Texas for my best friend's funeral from high school. Chauncey and we've been best buds since 1980, I guess, when I met Chauncey for the first time. So 43 years, long time. But I lost him. I have another friend that I hadn't been 43 years. But I met him in 2004. I had transferred from Combat Com in the Air National Guard in Texas to the Air Force Reserves at Barksdale Air Force Base, a medical squadron. And I came in as the training superintendent for that squadron. And that's where I met Mr. Luke Wright. Luke, come over here, brother. Anyway, this is my buddy Luke.
Hey, hello.
Retired senior master sergeant, just like me. He retired a little earlier than I did, in 08. So really only about 4 years I got to hang out with Luke while serving. But he was the superintendent for the four N's, which are medical technicians, and they were our largest career field in the medical squadron. So he had a lot of people, and he had a lot of people to get trained to be able to do their jobs, and so he and I kind of, he kind of took over the superintendent's position, and he had his hands full trying to find a way to get all of these young airmen trained up and able to do their jobs. And really the squadron couldn't function without them. They're such a huge career field, such a huge part of the squadron. We had to find a way. And
actually, when I retired, the colonel told me, he said, "You can't retire." He said, "I can't run this squadron without you."
That was Colonel Singson, right?
Singson.
Yeah, Colonel Florencio Singson, Filipino, good man. He was the commander that hired me into that unit. So anyway, Luke and I kind of, we really worked together. I know he'd probably tell you a few stories of when I might have been a little difficult to work with at times. But we all have those moments. The bottom line is he knew I wanted to see his career field succeed and prosper. And with his help and a little bit of my knowledge in the training area, I think we pulled it off.
Yeah, you trained me a lot too, so I could carry that training to my team.
And then it showed up because we had an HSI, which stands for Health Services Inspection, which is a big deal for the medical squadron. And he nailed it. Yeah, he nailed it. Him and his supervisors, they really, really did a great job. So anyway, that's how the friendship started. He retired, and we sporadically try to keep up with each other. But as we've gotten older, and I think we've gotten closer, and I try to get up here, when I could, and he would come down to Mom and Dad's in Tyler and see me when I was still, working in the Tyler area. And now we're both retired, except he. Well, why don't you tell us, Luke? I'm doing all the talking here. Just anything you want folks to know about you, and I'd like to know about you. I want you to hear about his business because he started a business here in Jay, and it's right up his alley. But yeah, why don't you explain to the folks what you do?
Well, I did retire. Of course, I was in the reserves when I retired, and I worked for an international company that I was their executive director for all of the United States for drug screening and for on-site medical and safety on construction jobs. Well, I retired from them after 17 years and decided I'm done. I'm done at all. I don't want to do anything else. After 6 months, retirement just doesn't fit me at all. And so I started a company here in Jay, Oklahoma, doing drug and alcohol testing. And now we have multiple contracts with counties and cities and schools. And it's just kind of something that keeps me busy. And that's what I started it for, is just to stay busy.
And it's not just drug screening. They also do on-site medical. They can set up, they literally can set up, like if it's a commercial construction site or something along those lines, they can set up on-site clinical services. So that's kind of a cool deal. So you're if you've got a lot of employees and you want to keep them healthy and happy and on the job, that's kind of where they come in.
We do. We hire paramedics, EMTs, and nurses, and we have a medical director that oversees the protocols. And so it's a thriving little business, and something to do, something to keep me functioning within the community.
And this is where Luke and I we don't disagree. We part our thought processes, because you see, I also thought I would have a trouble or a problem with retirement because I was a workaholic, very much like Luke is still. I'm trying to get him to sell that business and actually retire, so maybe he can come over and visit me. Because guys, if you own a business, nobody takes care of your business like you do. You can't hire enough people to run it right while you're gone. You really can't go for any length of time, because all your hard work could literally go out the window in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much to set people's minds in a negative pathway. So he knows he has to be here. I hate it because I want him to come to the Philippines to visit me and Jenn and Genesis, and he's always welcome. He knows that. But he's really kind of tied.
But I am leaning strongly toward your line of thinking.
Well, I'm gonna, I can be persuasive. So anyway, I'm working on him. But that's where we part, because I thought I was going to have trouble with retirement. I didn't have any trouble with retirement. I remember I got an email today. Jen forwarded me. One of our subscribers was a Marine veteran, and with some great questions, and I'm going to respond to him. I just read it a little while ago. I don't remember the name, but I will respond to him soon. He asked me, I wish I could remember how he worded it, because it was perfectly worded. But in a nutshell, he wanted to know, how can I survive? What do I do while I'm there? It's a valid question. I don't know how old he is. A lot of that I think depends on age and what how much life you got left in you. For me, My family is what I have decided to focus on, and our quality of life, and my marriage to Jen, and you know what, we have a baby coming. I can't believe I'm going to be a father again at 60. I don't know that I don't think I was a bad father. You have to ask my daughters about that if you ever see them. But you know what? As you grow older and you get wiser and you experience more life, I think you get better at things. And so I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful that when this baby's born, I can be the best I can be as far as being a father. I do know one big difference. I didn't get to see my daughters a lot when they were growing up because I worked all the time as a school administrator. I was in the Air Force, all that stuff. So didn't see them a lot. And I'm hoping. Well, I don't hope. I know I'm gonna be spending a lot of time with this child that's born, and so that's where I've chosen to put my focus, and that'll be some of my advice to this young man. I just don't know a lot about the details of his situation. He may not even be a young man. He's a veteran. He don't remember him saying he was retired, so he may be 40 something. I'm guessing.
And there's a big difference in being married and single. Because you can focus on your family. I'm a single guy, so
correct.
I focus on my business, which it gets old. But it would be nice if I had the family. I do focus on my grandkids and on my children, so that does fill that void.
Yeah, and that's a good point. That's I sometimes forget about that. That not everybody's married, right? And there's times when I wasn't. And yes, I really threw myself into my work, and at that time I was able to spend, even though my daughters were adults, I was able to spend some more time with them. So yeah, that all makes a big difference. But Luke, is there anything you want to say to the folks?
I just want to say, hey, that Rick is a good guy. Jen is a good family.
Pay him to say that.
And I'm certainly glad you guys are following him, because he does keep in touch with everybody, and he's a great guy, good friend of mine. Love him closely. We're brotherhood, so love him closely.
Yeah, he's. You know what? It doesn't matter what branch of service you're in. Doesn't matter what generation you are. If you've served your country, there is that connection across the board. Those of you that have served know exactly what I'm talking about, and you know that if I consider you a brother or a sister, if you have served in any branch of the U.S. military or the Filipino military, it doesn't matter to me, as long as you've served your country and you've done so, honorably. I think it's something not a lot of people get an opportunity to do, and it means a lot, and we're all connected by that. So you guys know I do try to answer your questions, your comments, your concerns. Some of you email me, some of you get me on Messenger. I don't do Facebook. I'm just not a Facebook guy. My wife is. She's always putting stuff on Facebook, but I will try to respond to you and help you any way I can. I've made so many good, strong relationships through this YouTube channel, and I hope I have many more. So I'm going to close it there, and I just wanted you to meet Luke and see a little bit of his property.
And thank you, Rick, for inviting me to this.
Absolutely, brother. So this is Jay, Oklahoma. We're sitting up on a hill. There's actually a lake. You can't see it, but it's through all those trees way down at the bottom. This is some beautiful country up here. All right, I'm going to let you go. Peace out. the good, the bad, the Philippines.